I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strasser with the Lansing Lugnuts. And let's meet pitcher Aiden McIntyre, who joins the Lansing Lugnuts this year. But before we get into this season with the Lugnuts, Aiden, I'm going to go back, way back. How old were you the first time that you pitched in a baseball game?
I want to say I was about 10 years old. Had just moved to Arizona and was new to baseball. And first year that I played, I was about 9 to 10 years old.
Where did you move to Arizona from?
From Pennsylvania. So it was a big shift. Was grateful to be in some warmer weather. And that was kind of where I fell in love with baseball. And Arizona is a great baseball state. So
I was reading that your high school statistics as a pitcher, that your career record in high school, you walked 18, you struck out 3.
Something like that.
Well, but you then went from there into pitching collegiately, so people saw something in you. Did you see it in yourself, or you said, it doesn't matter what these stats might be, it doesn't matter how I'm pitching, I know that there are bigger things ahead for me?
Yeah, the opportunity, again, I didn't really pitch in high school as a position player, so I actually made that transition into a pitcher the summer, like after I graduated high school. It was recommended to me kind of by coaching staff that was probably my best chance of playing collegiately. So I clearly wasn't a very good offensive player either, but I had some size. I was kind of a late bloomer, but I was getting to about, I think when I graduated, about 6 foot. So I kind of had some size. So that was, I think, what they saw potential in.
Did you have an offensive highlight?
I hit 1 home run in high school. It was a great. I love pitching, but I mean, if I could be a great hitter, I would love to hit. So I'd say that was the hitting highlight of my high school career.
All right, so now you've converted into being a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
How did you polish your mechanics? What was that whole process like over the course of your time in college?
It kind of developed like year by year and kept getting a little bit better. It took me a long time to kind of, like you said, mechanics and just get used to being a pitcher. I think there's a lot of things that like go into it that you don't really realize until you like are a pitcher. But it definitely developed and kind of got better. Freshman year was okay. Sophomore year was pretty good. Junior year was pretty good. And then really it wasn't until after my junior year that I really developed into a like pro arm and started getting more attention towards the end of my senior year.
Did you know at that point, you developed into a pro arm, scouts know it. Did you know it?
Yes. I knew by my senior year that I was like, had kind of worked to put myself on the radar. And again, I mean, a lot of it kind of would love to have had like an amazing year. Statistically, my senior year, I think I had like a 5.7. I lost a lot of games, but I led the league in strikeouts. My velo was up. And so I kind of knew that was like what I needed to do to be seen, especially as a senior sign guy.
Senior sign guy of Holy Names University, which had never before had anybody drafted in any professional sport ever. Plus, you're in Oakland, and you get drafted by the Oakland Athletics. What was the reaction from everyone around you at HNU?
It was awesome. It was getting to kind of I'm from Arizona, but getting to be in Oakland for those last 2 years, I definitely felt like the connection between Oakland and the school and the A's. And I mean, I had gone to games my senior year at the A's, like at the Coliseum. So it was a very, very like sweet moment for me. And like, and our head coach at HNU was a big A's fan, and pretty like very cool experience.
Did they bring you over to the ballpark?
I did not get to go. But I've been to the Coliseum multiple times as a fan, as a spectator, so hoping to also get back there.
What was your first time at the athletics complex in Arizona like? And first, let me go back. The complex is in Arizona. You're from Arizona. How far away?
About 15 minutes.
So this works out both at the major league level and at the spring training at the complex at the developmental level.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many people did you have just immediately calling you up and talking, whether it's tickets or buying your gear?
It was good to be so close to home, like especially that first year as you're kind of transitioning. Luckily, being like an older guy, I had lived on my own and stuff, but getting to like play in the AZL, especially in my first year, it was awesome getting to have like family be at games on those backfields. And I mean, that's pretty much the backfield games. That's all it is. It's mostly family and like scouts. So it was a really very special like experience, and still even spring training this year and getting to be in Arizona, it's pretty awesome. So it couldn't have worked out much better.
Speaking with pitcher Aiden McIntyre, I was reading an article written by
Mhm.
Melissa Lockard about you, and it was also about Brady. It was early in the
Mhm.
season, and it was spotlighting two guys who were putting themselves on the map. One of the things that was written about you as you were acing your way with Beloit was the work that you had put in the offseason with Driveline.
Mhm.
When did you first start to train with Driveline?
I began training at Driveline after my junior season of college. I went up there. I was up there for 2 months, trained with them throughout the off season, made some big strides. That was kind of when I changed into a pro type player, was kind of learning from them and their environment. Um, so that was summer 17. So I've been training with them since the past over a year now. I work for them as a throwing trainer. So when I'm not playing baseball and I'm at the field, or I'm also working with, I think right now I got about 15 trainees that I work with, all remotely, write programming, and try to kind of pay back what Driveline did for me and like really changed my career. And I really enjoy being a trainer for them and working with such an awesome company. So.
I want to get further into your
Mhm.
instruction, but first, back when you were being instructed, because to me, Driveline Baseball has this mystique. I know nothing about it except they know pitching.
Yeah.
And the pitchers who work with them, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Had you heard anything about them before you started to work with them?
I had heard about it. I think weighted balls and all that stuff was like still kind of like frowned upon or new at that time. And it's crazy how fast that's changed, because like now it's like everyone uses it. It's like weird if you don't. But at the time, it was pretty like still like unsure of. I hadn't actually known anybody who had gone up there, but it was one of those things like my junior year ended. I threw well. I just knew I wasn't as good as I needed to be to get any looks. I didn't get any attention my junior year. So I kind of knew I needed that like last chance, kind of to make a big jump. And I mean, luckily and grateful to them that I was able to do that.
All right, so you put yourself on the map between your junior and senior year
Mhm.
working with them. How excited were you to go right back up there and work with them to take the next step? Like, I picture a martial artist going, all right, time to work my way to the next color belt.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing about them is like it's very pitching is like complex and there's so many different areas to it, but with them you can really find focus on like what's the most important and what like you need to do. So I mean, at one point it was like I needed to gain velo, so it was kind of like velo phase. This past off season I spent another month with them training, and pretty much that was all pitch design, live situations, mainly pretty much saying like I have where I need to be. Now I just got to make sure the pitches are sharp and pitches are where I want them to be, and kind of redeveloped my curveball with them this spring, and as well as added a changeup this past off season that is like it was a brand new pitch. So it's pretty cool because again, like even after this season, I'll go back and go right to work on whatever it is that like I needed to do better this year, so I hopefully can do that next year.
Did somebody at Driveline sit you down and say, I think that you'd make a really good instructor here?
Um, Kind of. It was like a lot of the trainers with Driveline are guys who trained there and are either like pro guys or guys who really kind of like bought into the program and decided like wanted to learn more. So I mean, that's like all the guys who work there are really talented, and so I'm like, I think the coolest part about working for them is also being around them and like learning from people who are just wildly smarter than I am and like very just so educated, whether it's biomechanics or pitch design. And I think that's the coolest thing is like I mean I went from being a trainee to a trainer, but I definitely still feel like a trainee in the way of like I'm trying to learn and trying to keep up with where they're going. So
Let me put you on the spot with something real quick. What was
uh,
something that you learned there recently, even? It could be this past off season that younger you in high school, in your early days in college, would have never believed about pitching.
um, I would say I think like pitch percentages are pretty. The whole like in high school and college is very like fastball heavy, off speed like type of thing, and really like learning more about what pitchers are doing for um, pitch types and like how many like percentages and stuff like that. And I mean, you get a lot of guys who are throwing more off speed than fastballs now, and kind of learning why they do that. And I think that that's something that even as me as a going from a starter in 19 to a reliever now, is still kind of figuring out and like learning kind of what percentages of curveball should be versus like maybe overusing the fastball. So that's something I've learned a lot. Like I've spent time kind of focusing on for this spring is kind of figuring out how much and when to use certain pitches.
Do you mind if I ask what you believe your ideal percentage should be for pitch usage?
No, I think it's pretty close. I think kind of depends righty to lefty. Um, but for the most part, like I'm a guy who's going to throw a lot of curveballs, and especially out of the bullpen. Kind of again, I mean, I'm usually only going 1 inning, 2 innings, so kind of heavy dose of curveballs, and for like righties, mostly curveball, fastball, mix in some changeups, but I'm not sure on the exact percentages yet. But we'll be I guess figuring out pretty soon.
Let me bring you back to 2019. You're
Mhm.
pitching in the Midwest League. The headline is you struck out 150. That's more than any other athletics minor leaguer. How would you assess your 2019?
Overall, for my first affiliate season, I thought it was good. I was happy with the fact that I was healthy the whole year, didn't miss an outing. I was really happy with like the first half went well for me. Um, a lot of things like the whole like things were going well too, like balls are getting caught, stuff like that. So, but overall, from a pitching standpoint, I think it was a solid year. I had a really bad month, and besides that, like the rest of my year was solid, pretty consistent. As a starter, I wasn't really working as late into games as I would have liked. Had a high amount of walks, but again, the whole I mean strikeout percentage and what I was trying to do, and I mean that's definitely my goal as a pitcher is to strike as many people out as I can, which I enjoyed doing as a starter. I'm also going to enjoy doing that as a reliever and kind of finding that mix. But yeah, overall, I mean, I thought 19 went pretty well. Again, when you can stay healthy for a full season, it's a good year. So
That brings us into the 2019-2020 offseason, and then
mhm.
2020 spring training. And here you go. You're ready to top it. And then it gets shut down.
Mm.
Where were you when everything shut down?
Um, the day we were told to leave the complex, I wasn't even at the complex yet. I was getting breakfast with my sister, so I got a call that I had to come get my stuff. But again, luckily for me, I was in Arizona. So when that all shut down, I was able to go home, and I spent the first handful of months in Arizona training and had some kind of like outside place I could train. And so for me, I mean, obviously I was excited for season. Everybody was. You worked all year to get there. But I think I pretty much immediately took it as an opportunity to improve for this season and kind of a make or break off season of I think I said it pretty early in like COVID was this either this stretch of time is going to make me a big leaguer or like I probably wasn't going to get there. Um, and so I just mainly the main thing like immediately was trying to take in was like put in the work during whatever, however that stretch of time was, however long it was, and make sure that I came back a better player this next year.
It was a rather long time.
It turned out to be a lot longer than we all thought it was going to be.
Did you work any jobs over the course of that span, or was it simply driveline instructor?
I worked Driveline as a Driveline trainer the entire time. I worked at DoorDash for a little bit. I did some manual labor at my family's house. I mean, yeah, just like I did pitching lessons. I guess like so. Tried to stay busy, tried to keep an income coming. So, but yeah, it definitely turned out to be a longer time than I thought.
All right. Welcome back to baseball now.
Yeah.
When were you told about the plan to convert you from starting to relieving?
That was actually at the beginning, spring training of 2020. So I talked about it with coordinators and pitching coaches and stuff, and it just seemed like the right move for me as a pitcher, considering my age, considering the type of pitcher I am. So it's been something that like I've been training for this whole off season as a reliever. So, but this will actually be my first full season of just relieving. So,
I mean, my natural follow-up to that is, what type of pitcher are you?
I like being the pitcher who can come in, and I mean, I like pitching with guys on base. I like pitching in high leverage situations. And from a pitching standpoint, I'm trying to strike out as many people as I can, and that's kind of how I go about pitching. And I mean, especially I think that's why it works well as a reliever. I mean, trying to come out of the bullpen, light it up for an inning, and day's done. So that's kind of try to throw hard and rip some off speed, and that's a good day.
Did your velocity, was it in out of the bullpen compared to it as a starter? What is it right now?
It ticked up a little, like from being a starter to a reliever. Definitely, velo ticked up a little bit. I think the biggest thing is just going to be the like maintaining like kind of the floor level. I think will be higher. That's kind of my goal. I believe in 2019 my average velo was 90 or 91. So goal for this year is just to keep the average velo over 93.5, which is just a personal goal. Velo's been ranging anywhere from 93 to 96. So I'm hoping with some fans and some adrenaline, we can grab a 7 too. So
We've got the heat. You mentioned the curves that you like to throw, and then you've got the changeup that you're bringing into this year that you didn't have before, right?
yeah.
Was it a grip that you were searching for? What unlocked the changeup for you?
I had previously thrown a splitter. That was very good in college. Just didn't really progress into pro ball when I started throwing harder. Just never turned out to be as good as it was in college. So changing over to a changeup was a goal of mine in this off season. And again, working with Driveline, doing pitch design, and pretty much figuring out, what grip and what type of shape I was trying to make the changeup. And so really being able to like practice with them from like January through March, kind of got that pitch dialed in. And I think it'll be good to have a third pitch, and a pitch that the whole, like when you talk about separation of being tunneling, being able to have another pitch to tunnel off of. So I'm pretty excited about it. We'll see how it holds up in season and how much we throw it, but I think it's going to be a plus pitch for me.
What got me excited was seeing the video of you on your Twitter of behind you and
Mm-hmm.
watching you work, watching your mechanics, and watching that ball move and
Mm-hmm.
explode. How do you feel watching your own video?
I think it's cool. I think it's like, obviously I watch a lot of big league games and getting to like watch guys throw. So I think it's always cool when you can watch kind of yourself and also like know how you used to move and how you used to mechanics look differently. So I enjoy it. I enjoy kind of seeing like the progressive change and hopefully improvements in mechanics and pitches and movement and stuff like that. So
Give me the scouting report on this pitching core. You're a valued member of it. What are the rest of the guys like? How tough is this staff?
I think it's going to be a very good staff. I think in general, I think it's going to be a very good team. I think it's a good mixture of, we do have some older guys. I'm technically an older guy on the team. So from 18, 19, 20 draft, we got some guys who this is their first pro ball game. And yeah, it's a ton of talent, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool group to be on, and be with, and kind of I watched a lot of these guys throw for the first time at Instructs or this spring training, and there's not a weak link on the team, between defense, offense, and pitching. So I think it's going to be a really good team.
9 guys making their pro debut. 3 pitchers, if I remember rightly, and all 3 catchers on the team. Usually,
Yeah.
you got the catcher leading the pitcher, but have you been saying, as the old man, let me give you some advice?
No, everyone's ready to go. And because I mean, a lot of the guys too are like they were college guys, 4-year guys, stuff like that. So it's a good group of guys. Everyone kind of goes about their business and knows what they need to do. But I'm really excited to, especially, I mean, obviously watch the pitching side of it, and but I think our offense and defense is going to be awesome. So I think that's like kind of the cool thing too, is you see the team start shaping up. And I mean, we got a lot of guys who can hit. Defense is great. So like the pitching staff has a lot of confidence in our catchers and in the fact that we're going to put up some runs and play good defense. So it's a good feeling to have.
Break down the defense for me because I haven't seen them before. Who's really going to go and get it? Who's going to open up my eyes?
It rotates around a little bit. I think this year, I think we're going to have like guys across from like second, short, and third kind of moving a little bit. But I mean, we got guys from who were in Beloit with me. We had Gridley, Kobe Vance, Schumann, And I mean, those guys were awesome in 19, and I feel like watching them in spring, hitting even better than I remember. And a lot of the other guys, like I just haven't seen as much because during spring we weren't always staying for games because of COVID protocol and stuff. So, I mean, some of the guys I get to watch like kind of play in games for the first time, and I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, there's again, I think 1 through 9 we're gonna hit really well.
And of the hitters, who do you think would give you the biggest challenge?
I think they're all pretty solid. I mean, we got Kobe Vance is a tough out. I've pitched to him a few times. Jordan Diaz is like 19, I think, maybe 20, and he's one of the most like raw hitters I've seen. Because I played with him in the AZL when he was 17, and he was the best hitter on the team then. And so, I mean, I'm expecting him to have a pretty good year. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't thrown to too many of our guys, but I mean, I wouldn't. It's not a lineup I would want to face.
That's awesome. You'll get to know them. We'll get to
Yeah.
know you. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been great.
Of course. No, I appreciate it.
Pitcher Aiden McIntyre. I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler, and this is Lugnuts Baseball. Lugnuts, Lugnuts.